What happens when two souls, one a reluctant sage reborn from the smoldering ashes of despair, the other a timeless monk cradling the fragile hopes of a nation in his weathered hands, cross paths in the boundless, shimmering tapestry of existence? Oh, the very thought sets my heart ablaze, a wild inferno of curiosity and awe. Can you feel it too? The electric hum of possibility, the whisper of destiny threading through the air? Let's paint the picture, stroke by vivid stroke. Eckhart Tolle and the 14th Dalai Lama, two luminaries whose lives don't just speak. They sing, they roar, they murmur truths so profound they could jolt us awake from the numb sleepwalk of modern life, from the endless scroll of screens and the hollow echo of our own restless minds. Picture them, two flames dancing in the velvet dark of a fractured world, one flickering with the fragile, crystalline stillness of the eternal now, a light so subtle it could slip through your fingers like mist, the other blazing with the warm, golden glow of boundless compassion, a radiance that wraps around you like a mother's embrace, steadfast and unbreakable. Don't you see them? One, a quiet wanderer who found salvation in the wreckage of his own soul. The other, a shepherd of spirits carrying a people's dreams across mountains and exile. Could they have met? Oh, how my soul yearns to know. At a spiritual summit where minds stretch toward the infinite, a meditation retreat nestled in some hidden valley where the wind itself hums with peace, or perhaps a quiet corner of the world, a forgotten nook where silence reigns supreme, louder than any sermon, deeper than any song. Maybe it was beneath a canopy of ancient trees, their branches swaying like witnesses to a sacred pact, or in a room aglow with candlelight, where the walls pulse with the unspoken weight of their presence. Or, dare I dream, in a fleeting moment on a bustling street, two pairs of eyes locking for an instant, a recognition beyond words, a nod to the shared mystery of being. Where did it happen, if it happened at all? When did the universe conspire to weave these threads together, these two pilgrims of the human heart, one forged in the crucible of personal collapse, the other sculpted by the relentless tides of history? Let's wander through their stories, shall we? Let's tiptoe into the shadows and light of their lives, tracing the paths that led them here, paths strewn with thorns and revelations, with quiet triumphs and deafening silences. Let's dream of their convergence, not just as a meeting of minds, but as a collision of essences, a cosmic embrace that ripples outward, touching the edges of our own fragile hopes. What would it look like, this union of stillness and compassion? Would it be a conversation, a soft exchange of truths over steaming tea, Tolle's measured tones blending with the Dalai Lama's lilting laughter, or a shared silence, so potent it could hush the chaos of the world, a stillness where the soul breathes free? Oh, I can see it now, their flames intertwining, not to consume, but to illuminate, casting a glow that pierces the fog of our distracted age. And here's the question that burns brightest of all. What might their union mean for us, restless seekers of meaning in this jagged whirlwind year of 2025? Us, the ones stumbling through a maze of noise, grasping for something real amid the digital din, the climate's cry, the heart's quiet ache. Could their crossing be a beacon, a map, a mirror reflecting back our own buried light? The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Carl Jung once mused, "Oh, how that fits." Imagine the alchemy of Tolle and the Dalai Lama, their essences sparking something new, something that could wake us to the now, soften us with compassion, remind us that we're not just cogs in a machine, but sparks in an infinite fire. What would we become in the glow of their encounter? Would we dare to stop running, to listen, to feel the pulse of life beneath the surface? Could their dance, real or imagined, teach us to stand still long enough to hear our own souls whisper? Let's linger here a moment longer, suspended in this delicious what if. Two flames, one flickering, one steady, twirling in the vastness of existence, their light brushing against our own. Don't you feel the pull, the longing to know, to see, to believe that such a meeting could happen, or perhaps already has in some unseen realm where time bends and spirits touch? Let's hold this vision close, a lantern in the dark, and ask ourselves, what truths might they unveil, these twin guides of the human journey, if fate or grace ever drew them together? Oh, the wonder of it all. It's enough to make the heart leap, the mind soar, the spirit sing. This expanded version deepens the emotional stakes, paints richer visuals, and layers in more philosophical weight, all while staying true to the original spirit. It's now a sprawling, vivid invitation to ponder their meeting, bursting with passion and possibility. Does it sweep you away as you'd hoped? Imagine a young Ulrich Leonhard Tolle, born in 1948 in Lünen, Germany, a gray town shadowed by post-war echoes. Did he know then, as a boy kicking stones down cobblestone streets, that he'd one day light up the world? I doubt it. His early years were a storm. Parents clashing, a childhood uprooted to Spain, then England, a mind churning with questions no textbook could answer. By his 20s, he's sinking. Depression like a lead cloak, existential dread gnawing at his bones. Who am I? He must have screamed into the void, and then, at 29, it happens. Oh, what a moment. He's lying awake, drowning in misery, when, snap, something cracks open. The ego, that relentless taskmaster, dissolves. The chatter stops. Silence floods in, vast and alive. I felt drawn into a void, he later writes in The Power of Now. And then there was no more fear. Can you feel the weight of that? A man reborn not through doctrine or discipline, but a raw, spontaneous plunge into presence. From that crucible emerges Eckhart Tolle, not the Ulrich of old, but a new voice, soft-spoken yet piercing. He spends years drifting, park benches in London his throne, strangers his audience, sharing this revelation. The now is all there is. Past? A ghost. Future? A mirage. Realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have, he says, and oh, how that cuts through the noise. In 1997, The Power of Now lands, quietly at first, a humble seed. Then, Oprah Winfrey, the cultural alchemist, lifts it to the heavens in 2000. Boom. Millions of copies fly, over 30 languages by 2025, and suddenly, Tolle's a household name. A New Earth follows in 2005, another gem, landing him on the Watkins Review Spiritual 100 alongside titans like the Dalai Lama. Isn't it wild? A man who once couldn't bear his own skin now guides millions to shed theirs. What's his magic? He's no guru in robes, no preacher shouting from pulpits. He's eclectic. Zen Buddhism's clarity, Christian mysticism's heart, Advaita, Vedanta's non-duality, Sufism's poetry, all distilled into a secular elixir. You are not your mind, he insists, urging us to watch our thoughts like clouds drifting by. At retreats, his voice, slow, deliberate, guides us into stillness. Feel the energy in your hands, he'll say. Sense the aliveness within. Have you tried it? It's like waking up inside your own body. He's not building a religion. He's tearing down illusions, brick by brick, until we stand naked in the now. Isn't that freedom worth chasing? Now, let's leap across continents and decades to 1935, a dusty hamlet in Tibet. A boy, Tenzin Gyatso, toddles among yaks and prayer flags. Could anyone guess he's a king reborn? At 2, monks sweep in, their eyes wide with awe. He's the 14th Dalai Lama, the reincarnation of the 13th. What a destiny! By 15, he's thrust onto Tibet's throne as China's shadow looms, 1950, a year of invasion and upheaval. 9 years later, he's fleeing. Imagine the heartbreak, crossing the Himalayas to India, a monk without a homeland. From Dharamsala, though, he blooms. A Nobel Peace Prize in 1989 crowns his exile, but it's his laugh, bright, unguarded, that truly wins the world. His teachings, Tibetan Buddhism's rich soil, Gelug, school rigor, the Four Noble Truths, stark beauty, yet he waters it with universal love. "My religion is kindness," he declares, and doesn't that just melt you? Books like The Art of Happiness, with Howard Cutler, and Beyond Religion spill his wisdom. Happiness isn't a gift from the gods, it's a garden we tend. The purpose of our lives is to be happy, he says, simple yet seismic. Through Vipassana, he sharpens awareness. Through Tonglen, he breathes in suffering and exhales compassion. Ever tried it? It's like hugging the world's pain and healing it with your breath. He's a bridge, east to west, sacred to secular, traveling the globe, from mind and life dialogues with scientists to peace summits with leaders. A simple monk, he calls himself, but oh, what a radiant lie. Here's where the threads of fate tangle, twist, and shimmer. September 27th, 2009, the Vancouver Peace Summit. Can you see it unfolding before you, like a scene etched in the soft amber of memory? British Columbia's skies stretch wide and endless, a vast canvas of cerulean blue kissed by wisps of cloud, as if the heavens themselves lean in to listen. The air hums with anticipation. Don't you feel it? A vibrant electric pulse that courses through the streets, the trees, the very breath of those gathered. The Dalai Lama Center for Peace and Education has summoned giants, titans of spirit and heart. The Dalai Lama, Eckhart Tolle, Desmond Tutu, a constellation of light blazing against the gray backdrop of a world too often dimmed by conflict and noise. Oh, what a gathering! This isn't some cloistered meditation hall tucked away in shadow, its walls echoing with the drone of chants. No, this is a bold, radiant cry, a clarion call for peace, compassion, and mindfulness to ripple through education, society, the very fabric of our lives. Can't you hear its urgency, its hope, ringing like a bell across the years? The stage is set, and the Dalai Lama steps forward. Imagine him, this humble monk, in exile, his presence a quiet thunder. His maroon and saffron robes ripple like a river of warmth, a living flame against the cool September light. His voice, oh, his voice. It's a balm, a salve for every weary soul in that crowded space. Compassion is the source of happiness, he says, each syllable falling like a pebble into still water, sending ripples of truth outward. Doesn't that strike you right in the marrow of your bones? Doesn't it echo in the chambers of your heart, a reminder of something ancient, something we've always known but too often forget? The crowd sways, entranced. How could they not? Their breaths catching as his words weave a tapestry of kindness, a vision of a world where love isn't just a luxury but the very air we breathe. And then Tolle follows, serene as ever, a still lake amidst the storm. He moves with a quiet grace, his gray sweater a whisper of calm, a muted contrast to the vibrancy around him. His voice, soft yet piercing, slices through the haze. The primary cause of suffering is identification with the mind. Did he say that then? Or is it my heart filling in the blanks? Either way, can't you imagine the crowd leaning in, hushed, their minds tilting toward that radical truth? 1,000 heads nodding, 1,000 souls peering into the mirror he holds up. Don't we all long to break free from that relentless chatter? And now, the question that sets my spirit ablaze. Did they meet? Did their hands clasp in a fleeting handshake, rough palm against weathered skin, a bridge between their worlds? Did they share a quiet nod, a tilt of the head that spoke volumes? Two travelers acknowledging the same distant shore? Or perhaps, oh, let me dream, their eyes met across that stage, a spark of recognition flaring bright, two souls who've glimpsed the same infinite expanse beyond the veil of thought and time. No cameras caught it, no diaries spill the tale, no grainy footage, no scribbled note in some forgotten journal. But oh, the possibility dances before us, a waltz of what-ifs that refuses to fade. Picture them there, side by side, the Dalai Lama's robes a splash of warmth against Tole's understated calm, a yin and yang of spirit, a harmony of contrasts. Maybe they stood mere feet apart, the space between them crackling with unspoken resonance. Or maybe they didn't speak at all, didn't need to, just sat in the same orbit, their presence a silent duet, a symphony played on strings too subtle for mortal ears to catch. Can't you feel the weight of that silence, heavy with meaning, light with grace? Close your eyes and see it. The Dalai Lama, his face creased with a smile that's seen both joy and sorrow, turning toward Tole, whose gaze rests steady, unblinking, as if he's peering into the now itself. Did the monk's laughter bubble up, a bright, cascading sound, breaking the stillness Tole wraps himself in? Did Tole offer a rare, faint smile in return, a flicker of warmth across his placid features? Oh, how I long to have been there, a fly on the wall, a breath in the wind, witnessing that moment, if it happened. Maybe they shared a glance during a lull, the crowd's murmurs fading, and in that instant, the universe held its breath. Two souls who've walked such different paths, the Dalai Lama, borne aloft by centuries of tradition, Tole, forged anew in the crucible of his own awakening. Yet here they are, orbiting the same truth, that peace begins within, that suffering ends where awareness begins. Doesn't it thrill you to think of it, to let your mind spiral around the edges of that scene? Two voices, distinct yet entwined, weaving a melody for a world starved of both presence and compassion. A song that could lift us from the mire, if only we'd listen. What did the air feel like that day, I wonder? Was it crisp with the bite of autumn, carrying the scent of pine from the forests beyond? Did it hum with the energy of 1,000 hearts beating as one, drawn to this crossroads of hope? Maybe the sunlight slanted just so, catching the Dalai Lama's glasses in a glint of gold, bathing Tole's quiet form in a glow that made him seem almost otherworldly. Or perhaps it was overcast, the sky a soft gray shroud, as if to cocoon this gathering in intimacy, to shield it from the harshness outside. And the crowd, were they restless, eager, or reverent, hanging on every word? Did they sense the magnitude of this convergence? Are these two flames brushing against each other in the vast dark? The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes, Marcel Proust once wrote. Did those gathered see with new eyes that day, glimpsing unity in the space where Tole and the Dalai Lama stood? Let's linger here, in this delicious ambiguity. No proof pins it down, no photograph, no transcript, but the absence of evidence only fuels the fire of imagination. Maybe they lingered. After, away from the stage's glare, the Dalai Lama sipping tea, Tole cradling a cup in his hands, the steam rising like a bridge between them. Did they speak of suffering, of peace, of the threads that bind all things? Or did they simply sit, the weight of their presence enough, a silent communion that transcended words? Oh, the beauty of not knowing. It leaves room for the heart to soar, for the mind to weave its own story. Two voices, one song, presence and compassion threading through the air, a melody that echoes still if we dare to hear it. Doesn't it make your spirit dance, your soul ache with the sheer wonder of it all? Let's stretch our imaginations wider. Oh, let's fling them open like wings soaring over uncharted skies. Could these two radiant souls, Eckhart Tolle and the Dalai Lama, have converged at some unheralded retreat, a meditation conference lost to the clamor of headlines, tucked away in the folds of time like a secret whispered only to the wind? Picture it, a hidden sanctuary, perhaps cradled in the arms of a forest where the leaves rustle with ancient wisdom, or perched on a cliff where the sea's roar drowns out the world's chaos. Could it have been a gathering so quiet, so unassuming, that history forgot to jot it down? A moment too sacred for cameras, too subtle for the spotlight? Their teachings align like stars in a constellation, twinkling in perfect harmony. Tol's now, that crystalline instant of pure being, mirrors Buddhist sati, that sweet, tender mindfulness the Dalai Lama wears like a second skin at the breath he's lived for decades. Don't you see the beauty in that alignment? The way their truths orbit the same eternal core? Both peer into the abyss of suffering and call it what it is, a mind-made prison, a cage we've built brick by. Anguished brick. Tol names it the pain body, that shadowy knot of old wounds we carry. The Dalai Lama points to ignorance and attachment, the twin chains that bind us to illusion. You do not become good by trying to be good, but by finding the goodness that is already within you. Tola writes, his words a gentle shovel unearthing buried light. Doesn't that echo? Oh, doesn't it sing? The Dalai Lama's call to dig deep, to unearth our innate Buddha nature, that sleeping seed of perfection waiting to bloom. Can't you hear their voices weaving together, a duet of revelation across oceans and years? I wonder, oh how I wonder, did they ever sit knee to knee, close enough to feel the warmth of each other's presence, their breaths mingling in the stillness? Imagine them in some cozy, candlelit room, the walls worn smooth by prayer, the air thick with the weight of shared seeking. Tol, his voice a soft thread, probing with that quiet intensity. How does presence heal the world? How does stepping into the now mend what's broken? And the Dalai Lama, his eyes crinkling with that boundless kindness, replying in a tone as rich as temple bells. Through love, my friend. Love that sees no separation. Love that flows from the heart like water over stone washing away division. Can you picture that exchange? The way their words might have danced? Tentative at first, then bold, then tender, like two rivers meeting, each carving its own path yet merging into something greater. What would it have felt like to sit there, a silent witness to that dialogue, your own heart pounding with the thrill of recognition? Wouldn't it be like overhearing the universe whisper its secrets, a conversation that strips life bare and dresses it anew in hope? Now, close your eyes. Go on, let yourself fall into this vision, and picture a meditation hall, bathed in the soft, golden glow of dawn filtering through high windows, or perhaps the flickering embrace of lanterns strung like stars. The scent of incense curls upward, sandalwood and jasmine weaving a fragrant veil that wraps around you like a sigh. Tole stands at the front, his presence a still point in the room's gentle hum, guiding us with that hypnotic calm. Close your eyes. Feel the inner body. Sense the aliveness in your hands, your chest, the space behind your thoughts. Don't you feel it already? The tingling, the awakening, as if your very cells are stirring from a long slumber? And then the Dalai Lama joins, his voice a chant, a melody woven from centuries of devotion. Imagine Chenrezig, the bodhisattva of compassion, his 1,000 arms outstretched. See compassion flowing like a river, boundless, clear, touching every corner of your being. Can you feel it? Oh, can you? The fusion of Tol's immediacy, raw and unadorned like a lightning strike to the soul, with the Dalai Lama's ritual depth, a wellspring of tradition that runs centuries deep, its waters rich with meaning. It's as if time itself bends in that moment, the modern mystic and the ancient soul clasping hands across the ages, offering us a taste of eternity in a single breath. Isn't that the kind of magic that could stop the world in its tracks, if only for a heartbeat? Philosophers have long mused that life is a tension between being and doing, a tightrope we walk between stillness and motion, essence and action. But here, they'd resolve it, wouldn't they? Toll, the modern mystic, forged in the searing fire of personal collapse, his awakening a solitary phoenix rising from ash. The Dalai Lama, the ancient soul, tempered by the slow, steady hammer of tradition, his spirit shaped by the prayers of a people, the weight of a culture carried on his shoulders. Together, they'd bridge that divide, being and doing melting, into one seamless whole, a living testament to the dance of existence. Can't you see them as two sides of a coin, spinning in the air, catching the light in different ways yet bound by the same metal? What if they laughed together? Oh, what a sound that would be! The Dalai Lama's giggle, bright and buoyant, bouncing off Tolle's quiet, almost imperceptible smile, a rare crack in his serene facade. "You strip it all down," the monk might tease, his eyes twinkling like stars over the Himalayas, a playful jab at Tolle's minimalist grace. "And you build it back with heart," Tolle could reply, his voice steady but warm, a nod to the Dalai Lama's boundless love. Oh, what a dance that would be! A waltz of wit and wisdom, of lightness and depth, twirling across the floor of human experience. Let's linger in this reverie a little longer, shall we? Imagine the scene stretching out, the hall filled with seekers, their faces soft with anticipation, the air alive with the rustle of robes and the faint creak of wooden benches. Maybe a bird calls outside, its song threading through the silence, a reminder of the world beyond these walls. Did Tolle pause mid-sentence, struck by the Dalai Lama's chant, his head tilting as if to catch every note? Did the Dalai Lama glance over, mid-prayer, and feel a jolt of kinship with this quiet man who'd found peace in such a different way? Could they have shared a moment after, a cup of tea steaming between them, the steam rising like a fragile bridge, their words few but heavy with meaning? "Presence is the key," Tolle might have murmured, stirring the liquid with a slow, deliberate hand. "And compassion turns it," the Dalai Lama could have added, his smile widening as he leaned closer. Oh, the intimacy of that imagined exchange. It's enough to make the heart ache with longing, isn't it? What if this wasn't just a fleeting daydream but a real encounter, hidden in the shadows of some forgotten event? Maybe it was a retreat in the Swiss Alps, the mountains standing sentinel as snow dusted the roof, or a quiet symposium in India, the Ganges murmuring nearby like a witness to their union. Their teachings, so distinct yet so entwined, could have sparked a flame that day, a light to guide us through the fog of our own making. "The wound is the place where the light enters you," Rumi once wrote. Don't Tolle and the Dalai Lama prove that, each in their own way? One healing through stillness, the other through love, together a balm for a fractured world. Oh, what a dance, what a gift, what a possibility to cradle close as we wander the vastness of our own searching souls. Let's linger on them as people, not just towering icons carved from the marble of legend, but flesh and blood souls, pulsing with quirks, warmth, and the tender weight of their own humanity. Oh, how delicious it is to peel back the myth and see them as they are. Two beating hearts navigating the wild, wondrous maze of existence. Tolle's a still pond. Can't you picture it? His surface unruffled, reflecting the sky in serene silence, depths hidden beneath a glassy calm. Reserved, introspective, he carries himself with a quiet gravity that pulls you in, as if he's guarding a secret too vast to spill all at once. Ever seen him speak? He sits like a sage on a mountaintop, hands folded gently in his lap, fingers tracing the edge of stillness, eyes half closed, not in weariness but in reverence, as if he's listening to the universe hum its eternal song. His words fall measured, deliberate, like drops of rain tapping a window pane. One, then another, then a pause. each syllable a pebble sinking into the soul, rippling outward with meaning. Don't you feel that stillness when you imagine him, that hush that wraps around you like a soft cloak? He's the eye of the storm, a man who's wrestled chaos into peace and now offers it to us, one breath at a time. And then there's the Dalai Lama, a rushing stream, alive and sparkling, tumbling over rocks with a joy that's almost contagious. Oh, how he flows, warm, playful, his energy a current that sweeps you along whether you're ready or not. His chuckle, have you heard it? It's a gift to every room, a burst of sunlight breaking through clouds, a sound so pure it could melt the iciest heart. I am just a simple monk, he'll say, his voice lilting with that disarming modesty, and then, bam, he'll dazzle scientists with Buddhist logic, weaving intricate threads of philosophy with the ease of a child threading daisies. Don't you adore that humility, that radiant sleight of hand? One moment he's giggling over a bowl of soup. The next, he's unraveling the nature of consciousness with a twinkle in his eye, as if it's all a grand, delightful game. He's a paradox, a leader in exile, a monk with the weight of a nation on his shoulders, yet light as a feather, dancing through life with a grin that says, "Why take it all so seriously?" Can't you just see him? Maroon robes swirling. As he moves, his laughter echoing like a bell across the valleys of our own guarded spirits. Yet beneath these styles, oh, beneath the surface shimmer and the quiet depths, lies a shared pulse, a rhythm that beats in unison. Peace. Don't you feel it thrumming there, steady and true? Toll dismantles the ego with a surgeon's precision, slicing through the illusions we cling to, peeling back the layers until we're left raw, real, present. The Dalai Lama lifts the spirit with a shepherd's care, his hands outstretched, to cradle every weary soul, his words a ladder to something higher, something whole. One tears down the walls, the other builds a bridge, yet both lead to the same shore, don't they? Could they have bonded over that, these two seekers who've found the same treasure buried in different maps? Imagine them sitting together. Oh, let's dream it. Perhaps on a wooden bench under a sprawling oak, the leaves rustling a soft applause overhead. The Dalai Lama, ever the tease, might poke fun at Toll's seriousness, his eyes crinkling with mischief. You sit so still, Eckhart. Do you ever dance? Do you ever let the wind carry you? And Tolla, with a rare grin breaking across his face like dawn over a quiet sea, replying, "In the now, your holiness. Every breath is a dance, a step, a sway, a turn toward the infinite. Can't you hear the warmth in that exchange, the playful spark igniting between them? It's a moment that could melt time itself. Two souls laughing at the absurdity and beauty of being human. Now, let's imagine a cultural exchange, a meeting, not just of minds, but of worlds, a crossing of east and west so rich it could flavor the air with possibility. Picture them in a small, sunlit room, maybe a retreat nestled in green hills, the windows flung open to let in the scent of wildflowers and the distant trill of birds. Tolle, the Westerner steeped in Eastern wisdom, leans forward, his voice, a quiet thread weaving through the stillness. How do we bring stillness to a restless world? How do we quiet the noise that drowns us? Screens buzzing, minds racing, hearts aching. His eyes search the Dalai Lama's face, hungry for an answer, a bridge between his solitary revelation and the chaos outside. The Dalai Lama, his eyes, twinkling like stars caught in a net of wrinkles, might lean back, hands resting lightly on his knees, and offer this gem. With joy, my friend, people listen when they smile. Stillness comes not through force, but through delight, through the laughter that softens the edges. Don't you see it? The way Tolla might nod, slow and thoughtful, a spark of inspiration flickering in his gaze. Did he scribble that down? Later, tucking it into the folds of his next talk, a gift from a monk who knows joy as well as sorrow? And the Dalai Lama. Did he marvel at Tol's knack for stripping truth bare, for cutting through the clutter with a blade so sharp it leaves no wound, only clarity? You make it so simple, he might have said, his voice a mix of awe and amusement, like a child pointing at the moon while we're all lost in the shadows. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, Leonardo da Vinci once said. Oh, how they'd prove it here, these two masters of the human spirit. Picture them blending Tol's clarity, crisp, unadorned, a single note ringing true, with the Dalai Lama's depth, a symphony of compassion layered with centuries of wisdom. Can't you feel the texture of that fusion, the way it might wrap around you like a melody you've always known but never named? Maybe they sat there longer, the afternoon stretching into golden hues, the silence between them as rich as their words. Did Tol tilt his head, listening to the Dalai Lama recount a tale from Tibet, a yak herder, a storm, a lesson in kindness, his own mind weaving it into the fabric of the now? Did the Dalai Lama pause, mid-laugh, struck by Tol's quiet intensity, the way he holds space like a vessel for something sacred? You carry peace like a lantern, he might have mused, his voice soft with wonder, and yet you let it burn so low, so others can see it clearly. And Tole, perhaps with that faint, fleeting smile. And you, your holiness, shine it so bright it warms the world. Let's linger a little more, oh, just a heartbeat longer, in this imagined kinship. Maybe they shared a meal, simple rice and vegetables, steam rising. In lazy curls, the clink of bowls a quiet music. Did the Dalai Lama sneak an extra helping, grinning like a boy caught with a sweet, while Tole watched, amused, his stillness softening into something almost tender? Could they have walked together after, down a path lined with stones, the crunch of gravel underfoot, the wind tugging at their clothes, two figures so different yet so aligned, one a pond, one a stream, yet both flowing toward peace, toward us? Don't you love them for it? Their contrast, their connection, the way they mirror what we could be if we dared to be both still and alive. Oh, what a study in humanity they are, these flesh and blood souls who've turned their own struggles into light for the rest of us. Why does this haunt me so? Because their meeting, real or dreamed, touches life's raw edges. Who are we when the masks fall? What's the point of all this running, chasing, yearning? Tole murmurs, the moment you realize you are not your thoughts, you are free. The Dalai Lama chimes, love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. Together, they're a compass for 2025, a year of AI hum, climate cries, and souls adrift. Don't we need them? Imagine their followers merging, Tole's newcomers diving into the Dhammapada, the Dalai Lama's devotees sipping Tole's simplicity, or a legacy, a book, presence and compassion, or a podcast, their voices threading east and west. Wouldn't that heal something in us? Think bigger. In the 2010s, mindfulness swept the globe. Headspace launches, Jon Kabat-Zinn's MBSR booms, the Dalai Lama chats with neuroscientists. A Tol Dalai Lama summit then? It'd be a supernova. East meets West. Tradition kisses innovation. Tole's universalism, free of dogma, paired with the Dalai Lama's rooted grace, meditation's legitimacy would soar. For Tol, it'd silence skeptics who call him a self-help fad. For the Dalai Lama, it'd reach kids glued to screens, not prayer wheels. The wound is the place where the light enters you, Rumi wrote. Maybe their union would crack us open to that light. Here's the ache. Beyond Vancouver, we've no proof. Did they brush shoulders at a retreat, unnoted? The Dalai Lamas met thousands. Tol might have been a fleeting face. Or maybe their paths never crossed, their dialogue unfolding only in the ether of ideas. Yet, I see them. two gentle giants sharing a moment. Tol, serene as dusk. The Dalai Lama, bright as dawn. Perhaps they sat in silence, the room alive, with unspoken unity. The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes, Proust said. Maybe that's their gift, a lens to see the holy in the mundane. What if they meditated together? Tol guiding us to the now, the Dalai Lama weaving compassion's thread. No cameras, no chronicles, just a ripple in the cosmos. Or what if they sipped tea, the Dalai Lama chuckling, "You make it sound so easy," and Tole replying, "It is, when we let go." Could they have swapped stories? Tole's night of awakening, the Dalai Lama's flight over snowy peaks? We are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but spiritual beings having a human experience. Teilhard de Chardin mused, don't they embody that? Let's ground ourselves. Vancouver's our anchor, 2009, a peace summit, not a meditation fest. Close, but not exact. Other chances? The Dalai Lama's schedule, dozens of talks yearly, offers cracks for a quiet meet. Tole's rise, tide. To Oprah's halo, overlaps. She interviews the Dalai Lama in 2001, hosts Tole's 2008 webinar. Circles within circles. Yet no named event, no witness seals it. Evidence gaps yawn. Did it happen, or are we weaving myths? Consider commerce. Tol's fame spiked with Oprah. Meeting the Dalai Lama could have been a PR goldmine. But Tol's no bragger, he rarely name drops. The Dalai Lama? He's met everyone. Popes, presidents. Why would Tol stand out? Philosophically, they diverge too. Tol's solo awakening shuns the Dalai Lama's communal karma. No future salvation, Tole insists. Reincarnation shapes us, the Dalai Lama counters. A deep talk might have sparked friction, delicious but real. Context matters. 2009's West craved balm, recession, digital overload. A Tol Dalai Lama moment would have fed that hunger, yet it's not splashed across headlines. Did it slip by or never bloom? The mystery of human existence lies not in just staying alive, but in finding something to live for, Dostoevsky wrote. Maybe that's the point. Not proof, but possibility. So here we are, February 28th, 2025, cradling this what if. Eckhart Tolle and the Dalai Lama at a spiritual summit. Plausible, tantalizing, unconfirmed beyond Vancouver. Their shared song, mindfulness, presence, transcending pain, makes it feel inevitable. Picture it. Tol's gaze, steady as stone. The Dalai Lama's laugh, light as wind. They sit, breathe, maybe muse on life's riddle. No record holds it, but the image lingers. Two souls, one quest. What's the takeaway? Life's not in the past's ashes or the future's fog, but here, this pulse, this now. The moment you enter the now, you've entered the door to the infinite, Tol might say. And with compassion, you bring others through, the Dalai Lama could add. Evidence or not, their light burns on. Two flames, one beacon. Isn't that a truth to live by?